Jerry asked, is there a lawyer close to Akron, Ohio that works for veterans? And what I wanted to talk to you about, and I've actually got the map back here on the screen, is um, it's no longer the case that it's really important to look for attorneys near us in veterans law. Used to be, now we're going back to 2007, 2008 when the law had just changed and attorneys were first starting to come into the process, that usually you wanted to find somebody close to you geographically, that way you could develop those bonds of trust. But over the last 11 years, we have had a lot of attorneys come into this practice area. There are, I think there's like something like 13 or 16,000 accredited attorneys accredited by the VA to do this work. Obviously, not all of them are doing this work. There's probably about 500 to 600 that do it regularly. And you can see from this map, it's probably coming up backwards because I got my backward facing screen on my phone. But you can see on this map that this is the U.S. right here. And I put in a little dot using a heat map software I put in to show where all the different attorneys are. And it's up on the website. I'll put the post in the comments after this video so that you can go and see that map. But attorneys are spread all over the country. I mean, there's definitely a shortage in the Northwest, but anywhere, if you're looking, from basically from Dallas east, you're not going to have any problem finding an attorney. But that kind of begs the question is, if you're not looking for an attorney near you, are you looking, what kind of attorney do you want to hire? And let me tell you a couple of things about attorneys is specifically, the best lawyers that are out there are in high demand. So there's probably a handful of attorneys out there that are well known, probably less than a half dozen that do this work exclusively, that are well known, have high visibility on the internet, are well known in VSO circles, are well known at the court, the board, and the regional offices. And those of us that do this work at that high volume are really in high demand. I mean, my firm gets hundreds of calls every week. The Veterans Law blog, I don't take calls on the blog because I can't give legal advice. This is not a legal advice forum. It's meant to educate you about the VA claims process. But if I was to return phone calls from every person that sent an email on the blog, I would not really ever make it home. We're getting thousands of messages, so I've got to kind of look through and decide what we can answer to. But the point is that lawyers that are really sought after are in high demand. They're going to be harder to get a hold of. They're also going to be more selective in the cases that they want to work. And so, sometimes you get attorneys that take cases because they like a particular area of the law. I know one attorney that only works PTSD cases. I know another attorney that really likes orthopedic cases, knee, back, hip, shoulder type injuries. I'm working with a couple of attorneys to try to teach them how to do sleep apnea claims. But other attorneys will focus, they only want to work with survivors. Or they only want to work with Vietnam-era veterans. And then, there is obviously the business aspect of veterans law, and there are limits to what kind of cases lawyers can take. I mean, certainly we can't take I don't know many attorneys that take tinnitus or tinnitus cases just because they are so easy to prove pro se, and because it's really hard to generate the kind of pass-through you need to support the staff to work all the cases. We would all go broke if that's all we did. But you get the idea is that attorneys, as businessmen and businesswomen, we have to be a little bit selective. So what are you looking for? Well, that's more than I can talk about in a particular video, but I've written a book on it. So you can get the ebook for free on the veteranslawblog.org. And I'm trying to read this post up here. In any event, you get the ebook for free. And what I do in this ebook, and I think it's something like 67, 70 pages, and I'm going to walk you through how to tell the good VA claims attorneys and appeals attorneys from the bad ones. What kind of questions you want to ask, what sort of things you want to know, how to spot whether someone is BSing you. If you use the questionnaires that are in this book, and if you take this knowledge to heart, and talk to several attorneys and be patient in the process, then I'm pretty confident that you're going to come up with an attorney that's just right for your claim or your case or your appeal. That's the key thing, is that a lot of folks, and I see this every day in my law firm, is folks just say, oh, we want to hire Attic because I see his videos everywhere, I see his posts up everywhere, and so I want to hire Attic. Well, there's certain types of cases that I don't do. I am not the person to do an 1151 claim, yet I get probably 40 or 50 requests a month for a representation there. And when I say no, I don't do them, I get a lot of mad veterans. But be that as it may. Certainly not complaining. I try to pass them to the individual attorneys that I know that do that kind of work, and most attorneys do. But those are the lower priority for us. We have to get to the work that we do, which is representing veterans before the court. So I say all this not to give excuses why it takes a long time for attorneys to call back, but just to explain that you have to be patient in this process. Take the time, get the book. You can get a paper copy. I know it's showing up backwards because of this rear-facing camera. You can get a paper copy, and it costs a couple of bucks if you want to actually hold it in your hand. And I'll put the link to that in one of the comments as well. But you can get the free ebook and print it out if you want to read it on your computer or tablet or iPhone. It's absolutely free on the blog. So check it out and use that tool. Don't focus so much on looking for VA disability lawyers near you. It's actually one of the most searched terms on Google when it comes to veterans seeking lawyers. And because it's one of the most searched terms, it popped up on my radar, and I was curious why so many veterans would look for an attorney close to them when they have so much choice outside. So, there's places you can look for lists of attorneys. I cover that in the book. I cover it all over the website.